You've probably watched hours of YouTube fitness that give you the same generic advice. But this isn't one of those videos. It's built to get you to actually take action and make change in your life. I'm going to give you an exact step-by-step game plan that anybody can follow if they want to stick to the habits that keep natural testosterone high. I'll show you exactly what I do over a 30-day period and how you can implement those things into your life. And what we can do is we can even make this into a challenge with the goal of completing every single requirement every single day. Now this month for me, it's going to be a very busy one, and that's exactly why I wanted to make the video now. I want to show you that you don't need a perfect schedule to stick to these habits. All you need to do is just plan, prioritize, and have the right system. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you today. Honestly, I wish I had this video when I started, because if you were anything like me, you know what to do, but you just don't know how to implement it into your daily life. And to solve that problem for you, I'm going to show you exact footage and raw footage of what I do throughout my 30-day period that helps me stay accountable and that helps me fulfill all of my requirements. Phase 1, the game plan. So we need a game plan to figure out which habits are important for boosting testosterone. And so everything falls onto 4 main pillars. Those are nutrition, exercise, sleep, and in my opinion, the most overlooked one, your social environment. And so the pillar of nutrition is going to have these habits that need to be tracked. That is, first, Chronometer. Chronometer is an app that not only tracks your protein, carbs, and fats and calories, so those need to be in check, but also your micronutrients. And so that's going to be one of the main things that I need to track, is making sure I hit my vitamins and my minerals. Now, sometimes I'm going to be needing supplements, so I have to make sure I take those as well. Vitamin D is one that isn't always readily available because of the sun, and so I can supplement with that one as well. Chronometer gives you a score of what you have done in your day, and so I'm going to make sure at least 95% score has been achieved. The next thing is I have to track my weekly weight. So I'm going to be setting a reminder every week for losing about half a pound to a pound of weight. And that's to achieve the optimal body fat for testosterone, which is about 12 to 15. Right now, I'm probably at about 17. So the goal is to lose a little bit of weight, but without stressing my body too much, making sure I can still get the nutrients I need. Okay, next, for exercise, it's going to be interchangeable between lifting weights, and this means also hitting my compound movements and doing high intensity interval training. So this is like sports or like sprinting. Now, these are very good because they recruit a lot of muscle groups. And then the next thing is every day I have to aim for 10,000 steps. The bare minimum is 8,000, but I have to aim for 10,000 or more. Alright, so for sleep, this is pretty self-explanatory. To set my circadian rhythm, I want to make sure I sleep before 11:30 p.m. and I get morning sunlight first thing in the morning. I have to make sure I hit a minimum of 8 hours of actual sleep. So not just being in bed, but actually sleeping 8 hours. And I'm going to share some techniques that I use in order to actually get this, because I used to be somebody that couldn't actually sleep for 8 hours. I'd sleep for like 7 and wake up naturally. The next thing is, I have to make sure I'm nose breathing. You've probably seen this, but I'm going to be using mouth tape to help me do that. Finally, the most overlooked one in my opinion, and probably the hardest to track, is your social environment. So one of the main things I can do is to make sure I am not home all day, because if I'm home all day, that means I've probably not interacted with people. And a lot of the reason that, your body gives you testosterone is to gain status, and you need to be interacting with people for there to be any status to gain. Finally, I'm going to have 2 forms of competition. Internal competition, this is going to be by accomplishing my to-do list every day. Not only does this help manage stress, but I also just feel good about myself, which will promote healthy hormones. And then finally, having external competition, which can be through sports, it can be through work by submitting a deliverable in a certain amount of time, or personal bets like, hitting this PR, hitting this amount of reps. Finally, something that I see is very neglected, especially on YouTube, and that is to make sure I am socializing and going out with friends. It's very easy to just stay at home all day, especially if you're in that routine, and instead stay to yourself and watch TV or something like that. But going outside, that's where life actually happens. And so, it does require planning sometimes. It does require going out of your comfort zone, but I'm going to make sure I make time for my boys and, I go out with them, but then I also spend time and make time equally to socialize and go out with women. Not only is that fun, but it's also very important for just living a healthy life. These are going to be the main pillars and the main habits that are going to be tracked onto a sheet that I can be using to see, how well am I sticking to this, especially during my busy period right now. Now, to see if this protocol is working for you, you can definitely just go by, how you feel. Your mood, your energy, your confidence, all those things will go up. But ideally, you do want to get some sort of measurements too. Now, you can get baseline blood work. I recommend everybody get blood work. But the problem with that is it's hard to do it very frequently because of cost or time, and it's just a snapshot in time. So for things like testosterone that fluctuate, it's not always ideal. So I actually got one test from the YouTuber Team 3D Alpha. I want to give a huge shout out to him. And this is something that you could do multiple times throughout the day. And it's a very good proxy for your overall health, including things like your testosterone and your hormonal health. And that is your hand grip strength, your dynamometer. So I've seen this with myself. When I started, I wasn't following the best protocol. I was still living a healthy lifestyle, but there was so much more for me to go. I was about in the hundreds, like low hundreds to mid, 110s. That's the max I had. And, after I started implementing more of the lifestyle habits that I talked about, now whenever I check, I barely check. I just check for fun or if I had bad recovery, and I'm usually in the 140 range. And so that's like a big jump from what I had initially, and I barely tested my grip strength throughout this whole time. So I know that this doesn't come from just me, training my grip strength, because everything I've done in the gym has remained basically the same. So I figured at the beginning of this, before I start documenting anything else, we should get a baseline. So I'm going to try that right now. All right, so a little lower than I expected, but got a score of 132. Let's see how that changes throughout. And that's something that you guys can test yourself. It's very cheap to get one of these. Alright, so first check-in, and diet and nutrition has been the most consistent out of everything, and that's attributed to the fact that I've been doing this for a few years, but I have these same meals that are easy to make, very nutrient dense, and in my opinion, they taste pretty good. And so most of my diet consists of those few meals, which is why it's very easy for me to stick to this. So I'll put up a sample meal that you guys might be able to use for my breakfast. It's very easy. It's a cast iron skillet right here. If you use a few eggs, some guacamole, and a little bit of salsa for taste. This thing tastes amazing for me. Sometimes I even put a little bit of cheese on it. I already finished half of it before recording it. Super nutrient packed and super easy to make. It's understandable you won't get to make every meal, and so you should always have in the back of your pocket a place that you can go to where you know that the food is relatively healthy. For me, a big tip is I live near university campus, and so what I can do is I can go in to the university cafeteria, and they generally have a few healthy options that help me meet the nutrients goals that I have. So going on trips, even if it's for a day, is super important because it gets you out of your comfort zone and, gets you into a new social environment. So not only does that play into the social pillar of the protocol, but travel also helps give you the chance to have a lot of life-changing experiences where, you meet new people, you grow closer with the people that you're traveling with, like, because you guys get to go through a common experience, a common struggle. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, helps you lead and plan like a few people. That way, like, when at a work or at a job you have to do the same thing, you have some experience with that. It helps you learn more about the world. It helps you make memories and like something that you're actually going to tangibly remember happened, and that way you can actually talk about it to other people and you yourself seem more interesting to attract new friends or even with girls. And so the thing is with travel though, it can be very draining, and so here are some tips that I'm going to give you that will help you, stay on track with all the habits and all the protocols that we're already talking about, but you're still going to be enjoying the experience, and really you're not going to have to think much about these things. And these are all things that I'm going to use, so I'm going to put some examples of like how I did it. So First thing is your sleep. Your sleep will take a big hit, most likely, probably because you're going to be going out late. I know that's going to be a thing for me, but if you're, going across countries, it might be jet lag. All of that is part of the trip. So don't obsess over it. Just bring a few things that can help you like mitigate some of that damage and help you sleep a bit longer. So I'll bring one of them here. This is an eye mask. It's super key if you're on a plane, if you're in a car, even in the hotel room, if or like Airbnb, whatever you're getting. If there's too much sunlight, at least for me, that helps me stay asleep longer. Um, Next thing is like mouth tape. When you're in different environments, depending on like the humidity and like if there's air pollution or something like that, breathe right strips. I only use these when I'm traveling. Otherwise, I'll make my own out of these. The next thing is, your movement, because you're going to be going on a trip, so you want to explore. And so I really think you should plan out times where you just walk around the city, right? That could be, walking in the downtown area, or that could be going for a hike. The other thing is you're probably going to be eating more than usual. And so if you move a lot, you're going to burn a lot of that off. It's going to help with your digestion. You're just going to feel so much better. As for like actually working out during a trip, this is when I take a deload, so that I'm not stressing my body even more with like heavy lifting. And at the same time, whatever nagging injuries you have, you can like, recover from those. And it also helps you because when you get back into the gym, you're going to be able to have a better recovery. The next and the final tip I have for you guys is about food. So here, you don't always have to track your macros or like eat, clean 24/7 because you're going on a trip. And a good chunk of that enjoyment of a trip is like eating good food. So I'll give you a few baseline tips that I follow. And those are first, I avoid like those really heavy sauces, like the ones that, are just filled with oil or like filled with cream. And then the other thing is, a lot of the time the sides that you get, they're just filler, right? They're just bread or something like fries or a drink. Like just skip that. There's, the main value you're getting out of something is with the main. And so you can stick to a lot of the high protein stuff. Um, there's almost always like burgers, like, or some form of like a burger, or eggs in like a lot of countries. And so you can probably get some form of that. And if it's a cultural trip you're going on, you can find the equivalent of that. But most places have something you can work with. It's just, you got to avoid certain things. But again, these three tips, they're not meant to stress you out for the trip. I think when you go on a trip, you're hitting that social pillar more than anything. And so worry about that. Worry about have a good time. Well, don't worry about it, but go have a good time and go see something that like you can come back and make a memory about. So I've been able to hit the 10K steps every day. And honestly, I actually stopped tracking it because I don't like to keep my tech and my phone on me all the time. And I know that if I structure my day in a certain way, it'll be pretty easy to hit. So first thing I do is I make sure I'm not sitting for more than an hour. If I've been working on the computer for too long, I just take a quick walk, and that also helps keep my blood pressure in check. And I know that people at my work might think like I just somebody that can't sit, but in my opinion, it's more weird that they actually don't want to get up. I also do the same thing after eating a meal. I'll make sure to just get like a nice 5 to 10 minute digestive walk in. And when I am doing like more menial tasks, I have like a stepper at home, so I'll put a photo up that I use. At the gym, also make sure I keep my body moving. So over an hour, instead of just like sitting in between sets, I'll like get up, go for water, walk around, see my friends. Just trying to get steps in there too. And I try and walk as many places as I can. So let's just say I'm already at the gym. Instead of like driving to the grocery store, assuming it's like a 15 to 20 minute walk, I'll just like walk there instead. And what's nice is like you also get like something like this, like a backpack, and that adds extra resistance. So it's good for like burning more calories, but also like bone density. And what's nice is once I started seeing things this way, I stopped complaining of needing to walk more and carrying weight. I actually became like more grateful for when I needed to walk somewhere. The only thing is I do have to watch out for anterior pelvic tilt, which is like a posture thing. Looks like BBL posture. It's kind of like what I call it. But as long as I like watch out for that, keep my posture straight, it's like a really good form of exercise. And I know that paired with like playing sports around twice a week and then doing like a HIIT workout, one of those, days as well, I'll like clear my 10,000 steps. And if I do those things, that's how I'm like measuring whether I've hit the 10,000 or not. All right, so now for a quick recap of the 30 days that have been completed. So, out of everything, the social pillar was the one that was completed the most. I only missed 2 of the days, and that's because I just told myself that I would make sure I get out of the house at least once during the day. And for the most part, I was in the out of the house more often than I wasn't in the waking hours. So that was very easy. That's the best tip I can give you for that. The thing that was the absolute worst for me was sleep timing. Duration was okay. I'm able to get my 8 hours, but timing wise, like I barely slept for like the time that I set out, 11:30, and that's because at least for me, I'm somebody who can get a lot of their work done in the night, like a night owl is what you call it. But it's to a certain extent, and when it was time for me to like finish the work and go to sleep, my brain is still running. And so I would just go to my phone because it was like really close to me. So in order to fix this for the next time I do this challenge, I'm just gonna not keep my phone in the room when it's time to go to sleep. I think that'll fix it all, but easier said than done. Okay, next, the thing that fell off for me. So my water intake was good basically through the whole thing, except for a little 3 day stretch where I actually lost my water bottle. I tend to do that a lot. As long as I have a water bottle, and I think this is the biggest tip if you want to get your water intake, is just keep a water bottle and you just keep sipping on it throughout the day, and you'll be fine for getting the water in. Then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the lifting part. So I do a 4 day split. It's a full body split. I make sure to track my lifts and I make sure to actually go to the gym and not use my home gym. And that's because going to the gym, I'm already burning a bridge. Like I'm making sure I drive there. I spend my time to drive there. So I'm going to do the workout and it's a nice social environment, right? So you're getting 2 in 1 there. So I'd recommend, if you are working out at home, see if you can get a actual gym membership. That was easy for me. I completed every single day. It's fun for me. A full body split 4 days a week. It's very easy to get in. The only thing that in that I paired it with was the HIIT workouts, and there was a few days I missed of the HIIT workout, and that's because I can only play basketball indoors at this moment because of the weather. And what happens with that is that I only have 1 day a week that's reserved, and the other days I have to find an alternative for my cardio. And I have been doing like something with the skipping rope, but I didn't always have a skipping rope on me, so I did miss a few of the days at the beginning. And then I took the big deload during the vacation, which was planned, so I'm not worried about that one. But those were my results. I'll put the actual screenshot up. I'm curious to see what your guys' results are. What we can do for the next one, I just wanted to introduce the topic here, but what we can do for the next one is kind of make it a challenge where if you don't complete, let's say 3 of the requirements, every time you don't complete a requirement, if your total gets up to 3, you have to restart, and it's like a 30-day or a 45-day cycle. So if that's something you guys might be interested, put it in the comments below for me, and we can get some sort of group chat or something like that going on. But other than that, see you guys in the next video.